Welcome, everybody, back to the show. I am your host with the most, B Renegade, aka Ben. Um, yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks, or it's been about 2 weeks, right? So definitely want to kind of dive into that a little bit and just kind of talk about some of the stuff that I'm ready to talk about, some of the stuff that I've been working on myself and doing around here. There are some things that I'm just not ready to go into just yet. Nothing bad. It's just still work. Still doing the work. So I figure at the very least, I can at least get one of these updates out here and, maybe 20, 30 minutes short or maybe less, depending on how quickly I talk. I mean, I tend to ramble, right? Anybody that's that's seen this already knows that I can go on for a bit. But let's kind of get started, right? Get into the nitty gritty of what's kind of been going on. First of all, I've been busy. I just have not really been home. Um, Trying to go out as far as like hang out with friends and whatnot, and trying to do other things and meeting new people. Um, it's been something. It has. Unfortunately, there are some people that have also kind of stepped out of my life a little bit. Um, Both, I think, kind of my own thing, right? It was just we were dealing with things differently. Um, there had been a potential for a relationship that did not pursue. I had to put an end to it. Um, I know I talked about it a little bit, but there's just some key differences between this person and I, and it just wasn't going to be anything that we could ever really get over, which is fine because there's sometimes that people are going to come into your life, whether for an extended period of time or a short period of time, and they're going to teach you something about yourself. You're going to learn about yourself. You're going to learn about other people, and that's the way I'm choosing to look at it. I'm choosing to look at this as a learning opportunity. Um, the great thing about it is that there was a confidence boost in myself. Now, not to say that I didn't that's what I was keeping this person around for, because that's not what that was about. There's some genuine interest, but at the same time, again, key differences, key differences that were just insurmountable, and that's perfectly okay. And having been in my marriage before, um, there were differences between my ex-wife and I that just we worked through for a while. Obviously, we're now divorced, and so but those weren't the differences that separated us. So again, the differences between this person and I weren't so crazy that it couldn't have been something. But honestly, if I when I sat down with myself, there's just no way that I can actually justify trying to make something like that work. Um, you know, I this person was younger. I'll suffice to say with that. Um, and she still had a lot of life to live and experience, whereas I still have a lot of life and experience to live, but I'm further along the path now, and so it's just one of those things where it's just easier to just be like, hey, you know what, this is where the road ends, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. You don't have to feel like you have to be tied to each other just because you may feel one way or another about each other. Um, which has been one of those key things that I've learned over these past 2 weeks. And like I said, I've been out, and it's been great. Um, and I just want to keep learning about myself, about other people, what and the things that interest me and whatnot. I mean, I'm learning it more and more. Um, Starting to feel more free, starting to feel more like myself. Um, and so that has been amazing, which is part of the reason why I haven't been on here so much, is because I've just been going through the work. And it isn't because I don't want to update anybody. I want to be posting these things up more often. But I tend to find myself more around a bigger group of people right now. And obviously, I'm not going to bust out the camera and start recording every time. Maybe I'll jot down some ideas and whatnot. Um, you know, um, one of the things recently that happened is Drew came back into town for the weekend. Um, we didn't get to put together another episode, even though we wanted to. But we discussed that the next time he's in town, we're definitely going to make a point to sit down and do a little bit of a catch up with everybody and with ourselves. Um, I also have a friend of mine who hopefully will kind of join in as a guest host on Real Men Real Ish, just because he's gone through a lot of experiences or similar experiences, and so just kind of bouncing off of each other is definitely going to be good. I definitely like that format. I like this format just because I'm able to just kind of put my stuff out there, and so hopefully I'll be able to do updates a little bit more often, at least if not the full show. Just kind of talk about the things that I've been working on and the things that I've been experiencing, the things that I think people out there are relating to when we do these episodes. Um, Again, since he hasn't been here, it's been part of the reason why I haven't been home, is because that's been part of my process and part of me dealing. Um, you know, Coming home to an empty place definitely does have its ups and downs for sure. Again, I'm able to come in, do what it is that I want to do, clean and organize in any way that I deem so fit. And there's not anybody to tell me one way or the other, which is awesome. But just knowing that there's some kind of background noise or something happening in the apartment definitely does kind of bring a still comfort. And so I'm trying to find that balance. Um, Again, just trying to work through the things that I know that I've dealt with and I've been dealing with. Um, Recently, work has been a little bit more upbeat for me. I'm starting to stay more on task, which is great. I know that I've discussed that in the past, uh, 5 6 months, my job kind of took a hit, just as far as my work style, um, because of the fact that I was dealing with everything, and so now I'm starting to kind of get back on track a little bit. I'm staying more on top of things. I'm getting more things done, which is great. It's things that I was doing beforehand, but I just could not really, these past 5 6 months could not really hold it. But that brings me to kind of like the things that have been happening. I know I'm pretty sure I discussed it last time. And again, it's been a little while since I've been on here. Um, but I spoke to my higher ups, and I let them know, hey, look, I need help. I'm struggling with managing certain things, managing certain people, handling the situation correctly. Um, like I know what it is that I need to do, but somehow or another there's a disconnect, and I'm dropping the ball here, and I need to get on top of it again. And my direct manager and the manager above her um, have been very gracious, which is something that I'm very grateful for. And so working through and talking about everything that's been going on, but also the struggles that I have just had at work, and trying to learn to refocus. Also, kind of dealing with my own mental issues, right? As far as like um, dealing with feeling confident and good in myself, because I never want to enter into anything with anybody or be talking to anybody, um, whether it be a friendship or any potential romantic relationship. Which there's something in the works right now. I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't. Um, I don't want codependency to be an issue. I don't want my own problems to be what hinders my potential future. Again, whether it's friendships or relationship wise. Um, and just being okay with myself, which again I'm starting to a little bit more, realizing the things that I have to still come to grips with every so often, and realizing, hey, look, I'm struggling with this because of this trauma or that trauma, and I'm like, okay, sit down, analyze it, come back to the root, rip that bitch out, and freaking move forward again. And just being okay with being me. um, because ultimately, whether it's new friendships or a new relationship, whatever have you, if I'm not okay with me, how can I expect anybody else to be okay with me? How can I expect to be okay with them if I'm not working through it and I'm not processing things the way that I should be processing, which is in a healthy and open way? And that's kind of what's been going on a little bit. There has been a little bit, with these new people in my life. I'm able to just flat out just lay it out there. Um, there's been other people in my life where, yeah, we were able to lay things out there, no problem. But again, things would just evolve into some kind of like shutdown or argument, and that wasn't healthy for us. Right now, I'm not feeling that shutdown. Whether it's when I'm hanging out with people or if I'm sitting down by myself. Um, Again, when I'm kind of left to my own thoughts, it's like, ugh, don't want to deal with this. And what's funny is that I do. It's been over a month now since my last drink. And again, it wasn't because I think that I had like an alcoholism problem. I think I had just an emotional issue, just not wanting to deal with my own shit, that it just kept me running back to the bottle. And I'm not doing that. I'm now starting to be like, okay, you know what? These are the things that I need to focus on. I need to do it without the alcohol, without the stuff that would otherwise hinder me from experiencing and feeling the things that I do, or make me feel them so terribly. Oh, excuse me, my goodness. Um, or make me feel them so much more that I act out, and none of those outcomes are favorable for me and my mental health. Um, Now I know that I'm not actually diagnosed as far as um, like any attention deficit. However, kind of doing the research and kind of looking into it, you know, huh, where there's smoke, there's fire. So um, that's been one of the things that I've been trying to figure out how to realign my focus. Now I've tried some meds recently, which kind of helped for a brief period. It was weird, and it helped for a little bit. Is it helping now? I don't know. I don't get the same reaction from it as I did the first time that I tried them, and so it's hard to really say if it's just my body saying, "Nah, no, you're used to a certain amount of stimulants, and this is just not enough." um, so I'm trying to find that balance again. I'm trying to find like, okay, is this something that I can work on through medication, or is it just something that I need to sit down? And I'm trying to sit down more often than any kind of medication or anything like that. Um, because if I can figure out like, okay, why am I getting distracted? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing right now, and then jumping on to the next thing? Is it really that I have attention disorder, or is it that I just have been suppressing some other kind of trauma that just causes me to like say, hey, you know what? I'm working on this one moment, and then I'm going to go work on this next thing the next. And it's all it's weird. Again, um, just working on dealing with all of these things because it feels like every time I start to kind of mend those chatter points, something else just comes up out of nowhere. I'm filling in those cracks with the glass repair kit, and it just seems to like not spread, just a new one, a new thing comes up, and I'm just like, okay, when the hell is all this shit gonna fucking end? Because, dear God, that's been one of my other things that I've been dealing with lately. My relationship with God. And for those of you that don't care about that, that's fine. I don't judge you for any of it. Um, but at the same time, I just don't give a shit, really. Like I don't like you feel your way, I feel my way. This is my process. You have your own. Um, but just kind of realigning myself a little bit more each day, a little bit slow. I mean, slowly but surely. Um, Reminding myself to talk to God, and you know, sit down and shut up and listen every so often. um, where I'm at with that is it's sometimes there's that still quietness that I'm able to kind of get into, and then there's other times that it's just like, oh my God, I don't want to sit down. Like, just give me the answer already, dude. Like, come on. Like, you already know what's gonna happen. Just tell me so I can move on. Um, but I don't think it's ever worked that way for me. Mainly because I think it's mainly because I'm just stubborn, right? Like, even if I get an answer, it doesn't mean that I'm going to necessarily abide by it. I'm going to end up, trying to make whatever it is that I want to happen. There's a history there, obviously, when I've talked about other things in the past. Um, but yeah, just trying to sit down, and process stuff. Codependency is still one of those things that pops up. My 4 week class ended a few weeks ago. I didn't get to make to the last one, unfortunately. I wanted to, but time just got away from me. I may have talked about it. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch my old stuff. But that night, the time got away from me, and I said, okay, I know what the exercise is. I can do it, and I probably should do it on here. And so that'll probably be one of the things that I prep for, at least on the full on episode, where it's not just a 20-30 minute update. Everything seems to be lining up pretty well, which is nice. But this is one of those times where things get really fucking scary for me, because everything seems to be going very well, or going relatively well. Just just in the aspect of my life. You know, um, there's another job potential coming up, um, that I applied for, that I hope I at least get a call, an interview, where I get to kind of shine and be like, hey, look, you know what? This is who I am. This is what I bring to the table. Let's talk. If I don't even get a chance to sit down at the table, that's where I get more discouraged than anything. It's like, okay, what is it about me that you saw on paper clearly that made you feel that you just couldn't meet with me? When in person, I'm such a better interviewer or interviewee. I'm able to express things a lot better. Of course, there's a little bit more of the hums and haws and all that other bullshit. Um, my ex took a Toastmasters course that was provided to her from her old job, or from her old from my job and her old job, and she learned how to cut a lot of that stuff off. Maybe I should look into something like that. Um, there we go. You see the hums, the oohs and ahs and yes and wait a minute type of thing. For me, it's a lot of the yawning. You'll see that throughout the episode. Well, it's twofold. I'm tired, and then also it just happens whenever I'm in a conversation format. I'll tend to kind of be yawning. And it's not that I'm bored with the conversation. It's just I think it's a defense mechanism. I think it's just something that's like, trying to trigger me to be like, hey, look, you need to go rest to get away from this particular situation because it's real. And so you don't want to deal with real. You just want to deal with surfacey bullshit. And so my body will tell myself, hey, look, you're yawning. You should probably go lay down. When I'm not even freaking tired, really. I could probably get off of here and launch into a all night session of video games, or keeping myself busy with the things that I got to do around the house. Now, granted, it's not a mess, but it's definitely not clean to the way that I want it, which is a whole nother thing. There I go again, kind of veering off subject. I think it's just a defense thing. Just like when I've been mid conversation and said, hey, you know what? I need to go to the bathroom. And it's not that I don't need to go, because I do need to go. Like, my body just has said, hey, look, you need to go to the bathroom. And so I go and I go. But it's that break time away from whatever it is that I'm discussing with that, which person ever I'm talking to. Because it's not just one person that happens to. It's a multitude of people. Whenever there's an actual conversation happening, it's like, oh, I'll be right back. And again, I think it's just a defense mechanism in order to steer away from whatever real situation is happening. But the fact that I'm aware of it at least gives me some kind of a fighting chance. It allows me to be like, you know what, I can sit in this a little bit longer. The 4 week class, there was a week where the facilitator, he talked about how checking in on yourself throughout conversations, kind of setting a limit, setting that boundary, because you don't want to bump right into the boundary wall, but you also don't want to you don't want to do or blow past it, right? Um, and so that's what I'm working on doing. I'm working on checking in on myself, not just in conversations, but um, just in general. And so, I think that's what this is right now. This is me kind of checking in on myself, but also kind of letting everybody know, hey, this is what's going on. And so, I got to answer this real quick. Just a text, but um, and so that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to because then those defense mechanisms won't kick in, and I won't run scared for when things are actually real, when things are happening around in my life, whether it be a job opportunity, an opportunity to build better friendships, or even a relationship. And so, because I don't want to run, and so, and um, yeah, that's kind of a self revelation right now. I mean, I know I've talked about it. I talked about it to myself before. Like, what is this? This is one of those times where I get to reflect and I get to be open with myself, but also with whoever watches this, right? Um, and so, uh, I am definitely in a place where I know God wants me to be. Because if it wasn't, then I wouldn't be, right? Like, at least that's my perspective. I'm exactly where I need to be at the time that I need to be in it. And I just need to embrace it, which has been crazy. Um, because I find myself living in the moment a little bit more often now, um, which is not something an overthinker tends to do, right? Like I've said before, I take the worst. I will take all of these scenarios and I will run with them, and then I end up running with the worst one. And so, right now, that's not the case. Um, if something were to happen at work, for say, would it suck? Yeah, absolutely. I enjoy my job. Do I think I could find another one just as well that works just as well? Yeah, absolutely. Have I put myself out there? No, I haven't, and that's been part of the problem too. I think I'm feeling a little stagnant too. I'm feeling that like I need to move. I was supposed to have started moving along away from my current job like months ago already, right? Um, but because of the comfort and dealing with all this shit, trying to freaking process everything, it just felt like I didn't not need to make such drastic or major changes, because if I did that and that didn't work out, then I'm just kind of left out in the dark. And so, um, in doing this podcast, um, I've been again able to kind of clear my mind. And again, I apologize. I need to do uh, this message because it is important right now. And so, um, train of thought. There we go. um, Again, it's a processing moment. It's a processing time for me. So, but it doesn't negate the work. It doesn't negate the fact that I need to do the work. And so, um, I have to keep encouraging myself, which is what I want to encourage everybody else to do, right? Um, and kind of going into the biblical aspect of it. King David, the Bible talks about how he had to encourage himself in a very trying time where people wanted him dead. His own men wanted him dead, and he had to find it within himself. And of course, he received it from God. But I'm saying is that, like, he couldn't turn to a friend, he couldn't turn to a brother, he couldn't do any of that. He had to be the one to bring it out, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm kind of at that point where it's like, okay, I have to bring this out of me. I have to do what it is that I need to do. Um, and so there's um, that piece that I'm feeling right now. Again, because I'm getting learning to live in the moment. I'm learning to be able to, like, say, hey, you know what? Fuck tomorrow. Forget yesterday. Let's just deal with what's right in front of me. And that's because I'm able to say, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can, whether it be a new job or um, new things that I'm trying to do, um, or getting to know new people, building out a potential relationship. It's those things that I'm just like, okay, God's got me. I got, and I can do this. So, I want to encourage everybody. There's a lot of time and not a lot of time left, as far as, like, we don't know if we're gonna wake up tomorrow. And everybody that I know so far that watches this, you're too young to freaking worry about not being around tomorrow. So, um, plan accordingly. That's what I've been trying to do these past 2 weeks. Try to plan accordingly. Like, all right, come home, do what it is that I got to do, relax, and that's it. But do the work. Do the fucking work. Figure out what it is that's triggering whatever defense mechanism, whatever emotion that's coming up, whatever thing that makes you happy, sad, pissed off, whatever the fuck is that's happening. You know, examine it a little bit. The happy moments, maybe you don't have to examine so heavily, because those are good moments, right? Those are the moments that we're striving for, that I'm striving for. I'm striving to be able to see those and enjoy those in that moment. Um, but if I feel flighty, if I feel anxious, if I feel, like I need to run away, I have to examine that. Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like running? Oh, it's because things are real. Yeah, well, things are fucking real. And I want to be able to look at those real things and be like, you know what, I'm okay with this. Either one, because it doesn't fucking matter in the long run, or two, because it's something that I actually want. I actually want to be around, or I want to be, involved in this. And so the idea is scary, but the prospect is so exciting. It's so exciting. Like I said, I applied for a new job, and I'm working. Hopefully, I'll get an interview for that. Be able to charm people. I joke around with people. I've told plenty of people, you know what, I'm a charming guy, but sometimes I don't believe it, and sometimes I do, and that grows my head a little bit. about 2 or 3 times the size that it normally is. And I mean, if you look at it, it's a pretty freaking fat dome already. So the fact that I try to boost myself up and really not give myself any room headspace in the car is crazy. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up right now. I'm already past the 30-minute mark that I had given myself. Um, but do the work. When something feels uncomfortable, figure out why. What is it? What is it? What is the trauma that's making you feel uncomfortable? If something's going well, just sit there and enjoy it, and just let it be for that moment. Let it be an experience that you get to own for the rest of your life. Just because other people may go through some stuff with you doesn't mean that they experience it the same way you do. Your experience is unique to you. So live that. And when shit hits the fan, because it will, when you feel like life's kicking you right in the freaking nads, wear a cup next time. Will it hurt? Absolutely. Not as bad though. Um, Learning from all of our experiences and becoming better is that thing. Is what's awesome. I had a friend of mine who said you're a victim or you're a survivor. I have been surviving and been a survivor for a while now, and so I'm choosing to live in that mentality. And again, I encourage everybody to do the same. Like I said, never gonna stop saying it. Take that sword, chop those fucking demons up, toss them aside. They keep coming at you. Fuck them up some more. But again, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. This has been the 40-minute version, I guess, of the show because it's not even an update at this point. It's almost a whole episode, about maybe 22 minutes shy of a full-on hour. Um, but yeah, things will be happening soon, and I'll be updating people and updating the show and kind of just putting stuff out there. And like I said, hopefully, I'll be able to meet up with my friend who will be able to come over and we'll sit down and he'll kind of take the guest host space for Drew until Drew gets back, and then maybe once Drew gets back, we'll do a trio episode where we get to bust each other's balls a little bit, but also talk about some real shit that I know my friend wanted to kind of talk about. But again, we're the 21st marks a month, so a month and 5 days sober in. I miss drinks sometimes, not gonna lie. But what's the motivation? It would not be a good one. So again, do the work. Don't eat that fucking donut if you don't have to. Don't drink that drink if you don't have to. Stay away from certain people if you can avoid it, and it's also in your benefit. Don't be afraid to make those changes, because it's when you finally do that you're finally gonna realize, like, hey, you know what? I'm all right. I didn't need that extra fucking donut. I didn't need that drink. I didn't need to be around this person. And the people that you choose to be around, value them, show them how much you care. And when they want to love on you, just let them. All right. Just that is by far one of the hardest fucking things I've ever had to learn and still have to work on. When people actually want to care and show you that they care, just let them. But until next time, this has been the show with Ben, aka B Renegade, and I hope y'all have a run. I can't even talk straight here. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week.